ADR. Promoting dialogue.
Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio. It's midnight in Dakar and Banjul 1 p.m. in Abuja. Welcome to West Africa Democracy Radio and on worldwide on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Benin invites Sahel Alliance to Independence Parade in diplomatic approach amid tensions. Ghana imposes curfew, deploys troops and evacuates students amid rising violence in Upper East and North.
The incident that happened in Nalero Senior High School is barbaric, is unacceptable, is inhuman for someone to just go into a secondary school. These are kids to kill somebody just like that.
Tragic boat accident in Nigeria on Shiroro Dam leaves Niger State communities grieving.
It was a boat carrying passengers from Ashada. The people are from Ashada, Guni Ward, in Munya local government, coming to Zumba market. There is a market there. We call the market Kaswar Kwata. So they are coming to the market. There were at least 47 in number inside the boat. They hit a tree. That is what caused the accident.
And Burkinabe lawyer and politician Haman Yamego allegedly abducted days after criticizing military rule. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
My name is Sankula Janko. Many thanks for joining our broadcast and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. We begin this edition with regional diplomacy as Benin invites the Alliance of Sahel States AES to take part in its August 1st military parade marking National Day celebrations. The gesture is being viewed as a diplomatic opening despite ongoing tensions between Benin and its neighbors Niger and Burkina Faso, both members of the AES alongside Mali. Augustine Koli has more in this report.
This year's National Day celebration on August 1 will be the last under President Patrice Talon, whose final term ends in April 2026. President Talon, who recently admitted that the fight against terrorism remains a weak point in his administration's record, is now seeking closer ties with Burkina Faso and Niger, two countries that have long been engaged in counter-terrorism efforts. This marks a significant diplomatic shift as relations between Cotonou and its two northern neighbors have been strained for several months. As part of this renewed approach, the unified military force of the AES, comprising troops from Niamey, Ouagadougou and Bamako, has been officially invited to join the August 1 military parade in Cotonou. Cotonou hopes this extended hand to its Nigerian and Burkinabe neighbors through the AES will help dull diplomatic tensions and pave the way for stronger security cooperation. Benin shares over 200 kilometers of border with both Niger and Burkina Faso and has in recent years experienced several terrorist incursions which have claimed the lives of both military personnel and civilians.
Cotonou correspondent Aziz Adam Saleh's report presented by Augustine Koli. In Ghana, the government has imposed a new curfew in Baku, Naregru and surrounding communities, now running from 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily, following a deadly surge in violence that claimed the lives of 3 students. The revised restriction in the town located in the Upper East and Northeast regions, which took effect on Sunday, July 27, 2025, is part of a broader security response involving increased military presence and evacuation of students from high-risk areas. Nadi Ditete reports.
On Saturday night, 2 students were shot and killed at Nalerugu Senior High School in the Northeast region. The same night, a final-year student at the Boku Senior High School in the Upper East region was also killed in the school in a separate shooting. The attacks are believed to be linked to the long-standing Boku chieftaincy conflict. Member of Parliament for Nalerugu Gambaga Nuruddin Mohammed Mumuni condemned the killings in Nalerugu.
The incident that happened in Nalero Senior High School is barbaric, is unacceptable, is inhuman for someone to just go into a secondary school. These are kids to kill somebody just like that. It's unacceptable, and as an MP of the area, I condemn it 100%.
In response, the government has deployed more troops to the affected areas and ordered the evacuation of students from high-risk schools to prevent further violence. A revised 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew has taken effect in Boku, Nalerugu and nearby communities following the deadly attacks. Earlier in the week, the chief of the Kusasi community in the Ashanti region, Na Abdul Malik Azembe, was shot dead at his home in Asawase. Another man was killed in the area just days later, sparking fears of reprisal attacks. A statement from the presidency signed by spokesperson Felix Kwachu-Fusu said the country was moving from peacekeeping to what it called peace enforcement. The Ghana Armed Forces has been directed to take all necessary steps to protect lives and maintain order. The statement also recognized efforts by the Tumfose to the second, the Nairi and the Zugrana, noting their mediation had brought the peace process close to resolution before the recent flare-ups. A ban on weapons remains in force in Nalerugu, and residents have been urged to obey all curfew regulations. Security agencies have launched investigations as pressure builds for swift and decisive action to restore calm in the Upper East, Northeast, and Ashanti regions. For WADR, Nadiri Tete, Accra.
Still in Ghana and turning to health, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed 23 new cases of Mpox, bringing the total to 257, with the first death reported since the outbreak began. It's the biggest weekly spike so far. Health officials say the virus spread through close physical contact and warn that children, pregnant women and people with underlying conditions face higher risk. The public is urged to avoid contact with symptomatic individuals, practice good hygiene and report symptoms early. In Nigeria, a tragic boat accident has once again plunged communities in Niger State, north central Nigeria, into mourning following the capsizing of a passenger boat on the Shiroro Dam waters. Several passengers are feared dead, with ongoing rescue efforts as authorities scramble to determine the extent of the casualties. WDR's Usman Omar reports.
The Saturday morning calm of the Shiroro Dam in Niger State was shattered when a local passenger boat capsized between the Sherin Waterway and Kwata Market in Zumba, Shiroro local government area. Eyewitness accounts say the ill-fated vessel was ferrying 43 passengers to the popular Kwata weekly market when disaster struck around 10 a.m. A joint team of marine police and local divers was quickly deployed to the site to conduct search and rescue operations. Police authorities say they received an alert on the incident and immediately swung into action, but as of the time of filing this report, no official figure has been released on the number of lives lost. However, Yahuza Alawa, a resident of the area who spoke to WADR on Sunday, says 43 passengers were on board, but only 3 persons who survived the capsize have so far been accounted for.
It was a boat carrying passengers from Ashadna. The people are from Ashadna. They are from Ashadna, Guni Ward, in Munya local government, coming to Zumba market. There is a market there. We call the market Kasuor Kwata. So they are coming to the market. There were at least 47 in number inside the boat. They hit a tree. That is what caused the accident. So only 3 of them were able to be free. There are rescue operations still going on at the place. I've visited the market so many times. I have seen how they were doing overload in their boats. And the issue of jacket, there is nothing like jacket. They didn't wear anything. I mean the passengers.
The latest incident underscores a worrying trend in Nigeria, where boat mishaps often caused by overloading, poor safety compliance and lack of life jackets continue to claim innocent lives, particularly in rural and riverine communities. The Niger State Police Command has reiterated its warning to boat operators, urging strict adherence to safety protocols to avert future tragedies. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Burkina Faso, concerns are mounting over the disappearance of a prominent lawyer and politician, Hamani Emego, who was abducted from his home just days after publishing a scathing critique of the country's military-led government. Imo Edad has the details.
Herman Yamogo, president of the National Union for Democracy and Development (UNDD) and son of Burkina Faso's first post-independence president, was allegedly taken from his residence last Saturday around 1 p.m. by armed men in civilian clothing. Witnesses say several pickup trucks surrounded his home before the men forcefully entered, seizing his mobile phones, laptop and documents before taking him away. The adoption came shortly after Yamogo published a sharply worded analysis titled "Beware the Risk of the Terrorist War Morphing into a War of National Liberation," in which he warned the ruling junta about growing public frustration. In a Facebook post, he wrote, in quote, "The inability to recognize one's mistake, to make amends, or even to pause for honest reflection entrenches a dangerous fatalism. It fosters the belief in an inevitable deadlock and still fate, fertile ground for radicalization and extreme narratives." End of quote. As for now, there has been no official comment from the authorities, and Yamogo's whereabouts remain unknown. His disappearance comes amid growing concerns about shrinking civic space in Burkina Faso. It also follows the recent release of 8 individuals, including journalists and civil society figures, who had been conscripted for military operations and have just returned home.
Imo added with that report. In Guinea, the African Union AU mission in Conakry met with political stakeholders over the weekend. The purpose of the visit was to hear their concerns and gather recommendations as part of the AU's support for Guinea's return to constitutional order. While some political groups welcomed the AU's approach, others chose to boycott the meeting. Abdullah Hassan has the details.
Several political parties, including the Union for Liberty and Emergence, praised what they described as a listening and dialogue session with the AU delegation. They called on the African Union to take a more active role in ensuring the successful completion of the military transition. Bella Kamano is the president of the Union for Liberty and Emergence.
Each leader took the floor to urge the mission to ensure, through its upcoming report, that political parties are included in both the transition and the electoral process. They also called for a formal framework for dialogue.
Meanwhile, Forces Vive, a major coalition of opposition parties and civil society organizations, is calling on the AU to actively support the establishment of a new dialogue framework, advocate for the release of political detainees, and facilitate the return of exiled political leaders to Guinea.
That was Abdullah Hassan with that report. Now we head to the report was, of course, a correspondent Colonel Alpha Ibrahim Baldez report presented by Abdullah Hassan. Now let's head to some diplomatic ties, because the European Union has welcomed the release of several political detainees in Niger, but continues to condemn the ongoing detention of ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. The EU says it is prepared to engage in dialogue with the Nigerian authorities based on mutual respect to help facilitate Bazoum's release. Christopher Atichi reports.
In a statement issued on Saturday, the EU acknowledged the release of several individuals it's described as political prisoners. However, it expressed regret over the continued detention of former President Mohamed Bazoum, other political figures, and members of the civil society. The EU reiterated its call for their release, emphasizing that democracy, human rights, and the rule of law remain central to the EU's foreign policy. Brussels also signaled its willingness to engage in open and structured dialogue with Niger's transitional authorities, stressing shared interest and mutual respect as the foundation for future engagement. The EU noted that it had resumed certain cooperation projects at the request of the Nigerian government, while maintaining humanitarian support in areas affected by violence and natural disaster. Relations between Niger and EU have sharply declined since Bazoum was overthrown in a military coup on July 26, 2023. In December of that year, Niger terminated the EU's civilian mission, EU Cap Sahel Niger, and its military partnership program. Tensions escalated further in November 2024 when Niger called for the replacement of the EU ambassador, accusing him of mismanaging humanitarian funds. Brussels subsequently recalled its envoy for consultations, marking a further deterioration in diplomatic ties.
That was Christopher Atichu with that report. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Benin invites the Sahel Alliance to independence parade in diplomatic proposal amid tensions. Ghana imposed curfew, deploys troops and evacuates students amid rising violence in Upper East and North. Tragic boat accident in Nigeria on Shiroro Dam leaves Niger State communities grieving, and Burkina lawyer and politician Herman Yamego allegedly abducted days after criticizing military rule. Still ahead, Liberia marks 178 years of independence with reflection on progress, challenges and hope. We also have a press review, guest interview and sport news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Liberia marked its 178th independence anniversary, a moment of reflection for Africa's oldest republic. Since 1847, the country has navigated civil conflict, economic instability, and public health crisis. This year's theme, One People, One Destiny, Healing the Past, Building the Future, underscored the ongoing efforts to reckon with a difficult history while looking ahead. Celebrations in Monrovia and other regions brought together citizens, government leaders, diplomats, and 4 African heads of state, offering both ceremony and a sobering reminder of the work still to be done. WDR's Abraham Parker reports from Monrovia.
Red, wet and blue filled the streets of Liberia and beyond, marking 178 years of independence, a symbol of pride and hope. Presidential envoy Dr. Emmett Dunn acknowledged progress but warned that corruption, inequality and drug abuse continue to hold the country back. He urged President Bouaka to take firm action.
Too many of our people go to bed hungry, while a few grow rich by the minute. We must reimagine a Liberia where opportunity is not reserved for the connected, but for those who are committed. So I encourage you, sir, to lead boldly, challenge the old order, empower the next generation, fire and don't suspend, enforce the law.
ECOWAS chair and Sierra Leone's President Julius Matabio stressed the need for regional unity.
ECOWAS, there will be disagreements. Sometimes they are loud, sometimes they hot, but the family must remain and continue. We may argue, but we must not abandon one another.
President Joseph Yuma Bouaka, during his address, admitted that economic hurdles remain, certain hard transport and import goods affecting everyday Liberians.
I am establishing a high-level presidential ad hoc committee to investigate these disparities and recommend practical solutions. The committee will work and submit a comprehensive report within 45 days with clear recommendations to restore fairness and stability in our market system.
As Liberia marks its independence, the day served as a moment to reflect on past struggles, present challenges, and the road ahead. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
And now for a look at today's newspaper headlines, we cross over to our Abuja correspondent Usman Omar for today's newspaper review.
Hello and welcome to the press review segment from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We begin the day with Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust is leading with this story. University of Nigeria, Nsukka, set to appoint substantive vice-chancellor. UNN's governing council is expected to name a substantive vice-chancellor after 14 months of interim leadership and 3 acting vice-chancellors. The stakes are high. The institution has suffered decline, and stakeholders, including alumni and academics, are demanding a qualified ethical leadership to restore the university to its former prestige. University of Nigeria, Nsukka, is one of Nigeria's premier universities. Second story, Presidential Constitution Review hearings conclude in Kano. We now move to our second paper for the day, the Guardian newspaper. Lagos and Ogun to face 25-day power outages as TCN, that is Transmission Company of Nigeria, upgrades. From July 28 to August 21, power supply in Lagos and parts of Ogun State, major cities like Abeokuta, Shagamu, will be cut daily from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. due to the installation of a fiber optic cable on a major transmission line. Malaria continues to kill 9 Nigerians every 4 hours, says a report. And quickly, our last paper for the day, fuel war brewing after Dangote pushes for import ban. And our last story for today says farmer-herder conflict in Bauchi moves to restoration efforts. Reports from Bauchi highlight tensions between farmers and herders in conflict-affected communities. The state governor, that is Bala Mohammed, has pledged to restore peace, prevent further violence, and mediate dialogue between parties to stabilize affected regions. And that's the much we have for you on this segment as I return you back to the studios.
Thank you very much, WDR's Abuja correspondent Usman Omar with the newspaper review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Now, Benin has extended an invitation to the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, to participate in its August 1st military parade to be held in celebration of the country's National Day. While likely symbolic, the move is being seen as a possible diplomatic proposal, despite lingering tensions with neighboring Niger and Burkina Faso, both AES members, along with Mali. To help us better understand the significance of this gesture and what it might mean for regional relations, we are now joined by our guest, Morgan Asogba, Benin's international relations expert.
Well, it doesn't mean anything else than what Benin has been trying to display since a while. The willingness to find a way to put things together in order to allow Benin and its neighboring states to maintain the needed type of harmony in order to deal with region disposition, in order to make sure that the borders are open from Benin side.
How is this gesture likely to be received by the AES countries?
I do think that as far as Benin has been working behind scene to make sure that things work, it's obvious that on the other side of Niger, there is a work being done, because when you look at the general view, when it comes to the Sahelian states, and there are various attitudes recently towards the ECOWAS, it shows that they have as interest the improvement of the conditions, the living condition of the people. In other words, they do care about the people. And when you look at what is happening, Niger is likely to take this opportunity to show up, because any different attitude will not be constructive in terms of listening to the need of the people and addressing those needs in a very objective manner.
What are the potential risks or gains for Benin from this outreach?
The first gain, which is very obvious, is that the people will be very happy, because an attendance of Niger means that the opportunity to talk and to really talk will be there. It will not just be about the military parade, but it will also be about discussing the matter at hand, and one of them being opening the borders from the Niger side. So if Niger responds positively to this invitation, obviously we might see in the coming days some critical change in how the two countries will be handling their affairs. And let us also look ahead, because we are faced with a very critical security matter within the whole sub-region. But when it comes to Niger, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Mali, when you look at the border issue, even Togo, you can see that the threat is becoming more prominent, and it has been established that the only way forward in addressing efficiently these threats are the ability of the state to figure out a way to come together, find the needed cooperation to handle in an efficient way these security threats.
Are we likely also going to see some gain for Benin, including the trade and economy cooperations with these countries?
Obviously, if the borders are open, it means that the trade and economy will be enhanced or get back to its previous status, because one of the key consequences of this border closure has been definitely the economic impact of it, be it on Benin's economy or on Niger's economy. So opening and discussing this issue in order to open the borders is definitely going to bring huge economic gains for both countries.
Does this signal a shift in Benin's regional diplomacy? As you know, the three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, by September formalized their withdrawal from ECOWAS.
The matter is not about the ECOWAS, but the matter is about the way to foster regional integration. And this is definitely a gain, and it is also part of the strategy as it has been displayed for the past, let's say, 10 months since this issue has become prominent, and since the security threat has also been a very serious matter to deal with.
Morgan Asogba is a Beninese international relations expert. Let's talk about sport, and today we are talking exclusively about women's sports. But let's begin with the Super Falcons of Nigeria, because Nigeria Super Falcons pulled off a dramatic second half comeback to beat host Morocco 3-2 and claim their 10th total Energies Africa Cup of Women's Cup of Nations WAFCON title on Saturday night at the Stade Olympique in Rabat. Down 2-0 at the break and facing Morocco's home crowd, the Super Falcons rally with goals from Esther Akoronko, Falashed Ijimilushi and a late strike from Joe Echegini to seal the win. The result crushed Morocco's hopes of a maiden continental title on home soil and reaffirmed Nigeria's dominance in African women's football. Elsewhere, Chloe Kelly scored the winning penalty as England defeated Spain 3-1 in a shootout to clinch the UEFA Women's Euro 2025 title, successfully defending the crown they won in 2022. The final held in Basel, Switzerland, ended 1-1 after extra time following a tightly contested and thrilling encounter. Spain dominated of the match and took the lead in the 25th minute when Obalbatu delivered a pinpoint cross, allowing Maureen Conley to head past England goalkeeper Hannah Hampton. However, despite early setback, England held their nerve and ultimately prevailed in the penalty shootout, sealing back-to-back European titles. And we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Sek Njai for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms X and Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is WADR's flagship Hold program, World Body with Imo Edit. I am Sankule Janko. Good afternoon.
And many thanks.